这种情形你遇过吗？
有一个外国人走过来，怎么办？
要跟外国客户做简报，怎么办？
我不知道怎么问路，怎么办？
轻松学习英文不卡卡。
我是 Katrina，
我是 Patrick，
欢迎收听卡卡派双语 talk
show。Hello， 大家好，欢迎收听高雄广播电台 FM 94.3周末的卡卡派双语 talk show。我是 Patrick，
我是 Katrina， 会在礼拜天晚上6点到7点的空中与大家相见。Hello Patrick，Hello everyone，
大家好。
对。
我们今天呢，有一位非常特别的特别来宾，
真的，这大概是我们就是开播以来呢最远的来宾了。我真的是
远从哪里来呢？
加拿大。
所以呢，就是因为是今天的来宾是从加拿大来的，所以等一下我们邀请他出场的时候，可能是全程
英文。是，没错。
哇、wow, 那 Katrina 帮我们翻译吗？
我大概只会偶尔，因为我实在是太着迷于那个特别来宾的故事了。
对，
而且他的故事都是特别精彩有味，所以我是觉得听众朋友如果听不懂没关系，这集呢就当做快乐收听。
那我们为什么要邀请这位加拿大人来到我们的节目呢？他虽然是加拿大人，可是他其实是加拿大的华裔。
没错，
所以他长得就是跟我们差不多，真的。但是呢，他从小在加拿大出生，然后
从来没有吃过任何亚洲的食物，
因为他生活的环境几乎都是当地的白人嘛，
对，
所以从小他在这个白人的世界长大，吃的就是 pasta，
对，
pizza，
没错，
但是很少接触这个亚洲的文化，
没错，因为当时那时候的加拿大大概没有太多华裔，
就他住的地区啦，
是，
他呢很神奇的，对，就在某一年认识了一位
台湾的女生，
然后就跟着爱来到了台湾，
对，千里迢迢这样过来。
那这个是18年前的事情，
这就是俗话说的爱到卡惨死。
所以呢，他在台湾已经生活了18年。那他跟我们说，他在台湾他刚来的时候有一点点的不适应。
没错，
虽然台湾是一个非常美丽啊，非常 friendly。友善的国家，可是呢，他生活在加拿大这么多年，熊的换了来到不同的国家，从吃 pasta 到换成控霸崩，这个 switch 有一点快，对不对？所以呢，他来这里有所谓的 cultural shock。
没错，
那到底是什么让他 shock 到呢？
真的，那到底是什么让他可以继续愿意待在我们这个让他 shock 的台湾？
很 shock 到。有些事情是需要适应嘛，
没错。
那他来了，可能就慢慢适应。可是呢，他又找到了什么，让他觉得台湾真是很吸引他。
对，到底是什么东西让他心境转变的？
那我知道有些什么东西，就是他现在在做的事。他算是一个教育工作者，
是。
那他花了很多的时间呢，其实在栽培小朋友，训练小朋友 public speaking， 对，公众演说，是。因为他觉得这个技术是技术嘛，对不对？对，
没错。
quality skill，OK，这个是很重要的一项技能。没错。因为呢，要当一个领导者，public speaking 是
很重要。对，
所以呢，他每一天晚上，他在工作之余呢，又抽空拨出自己的时间，带领一群小朋友，教他们公众演说。
超级
这个动力从哪里来？
真的。我们等一下就一定要好好来听听他的工作。
对，好，因为今天的内容非常的多，我们就先进一首歌，我们就欢迎我们的来宾出场。
好的，那我们今天带来的第一首歌呢，也可能是唯一一首歌啊，因为后面太多故事要讲了。这首歌呢是 Maroon 5的 Beautiful Mistakes。
OK， 好。
聆听着温暖的声音，94.3让我有整天好心情。94.3分享生活点点滴滴，随时陪伴着你，你最好的默契。
好啦，那听完这首歌呢，我们就要进我们特别来宾了。好，那特别来宾呢就要由你好好来请他出场了。
就是 OK，Well, are you ready, Mike? Let's welcome Mike Honda. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Patrick and Katrina. Hello, Kaohsiung. Woo!
Wow, okay.
Fired up.
So energetic.
I can
expect
feel
that, did you?
the vibe already. And I have to turn his microphone down a little bit.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Wow, so much power.
Yes.
Of course, we're in Kaohsiung.
Mike, thank you so much for coming to Kaohsiung all the way from Zhanghua, right?
Sure, my pleasure.
Wow. And there are a lot of things we would love to ask you. Okay, but before we start, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm originally from Canada. Right now, I currently live in Zhanghua, but I work in Taichung. I work at a school called Uyghur International School as an environmental science teacher. I'm also a member of Toastmasters in Taiwan. I'm a member of Taichung Toastmasters Club in Taichung, the best Toastmasters Club in Taichung. I hope you guys are listening right now.
One of the best.
I also have 2 Gavel clubs and 1 youth leadership program through Toastmasters at my school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a very comprehensive self-introduction.
Yeah, that's
thank you.
right.
Concise and informative. So, would you like to translate that, Katrina?
Okay.
Just briefly.
OK, Mike 他是从彰化千里迢迢过来的。他呢，目前呢是在，因为他住彰化嘛，但是他的工作其实在台中工作的。那他其实，在台中做什么东西呢？这个也是我们就是匪夷所思的。就是他是因为 Toastmaster， 但他刚才是没有讲到啊，但是他其实是因为 Toastmaster 而有这样的工作。那他是做那个环境，算是环境科学的老师。
Environmental science.
对对对，
而且在一
没错
届非常知名的学校。
维格。
没错。
拜托，
It's a school for privileged kids.
没 money， 没花多利利。
Yeah.
对，所以这很重要。所以他就在台中工作，而且他还在台中 Toastmaster， 看来他叫的很大声。有没有听到台中最棒的 Toastmaster？
他说是全台湾最棒的。
全台湾啊，对对对。但是你有补充嘛？就是我怕大家会来骂。是。
Well, thank you so much,
是
Mike. So,
You bet.
You grew up in Canada, right?
I did. I was born there. I grew up there. And I am what people say a banana. Yellow skin, white on the outside.
And what was it like? You categorize yourself as more towards the Western culture or your Asian heritage?
I didn't actually, pretty much my whole life, I didn't actually notice I was different. I mean, I grew up with just people. I just, I didn't actually really see color,
Right.
Even though where I grew up, I was only the Asian student in class, right?
Wow.
I think in the beginning, I did notice I was different because, kids kept coming up to me saying, "Oh my God, he's got like black hair, brown eyes." Everybody else has blonde hair, brown, green eyes, But after that, everything was the same. I just didn't really, I didn't grow up seeing color,
Wow.
Everybody was the same.
And that was really good.
Yes.
就是他在加拿大长大的时候，他几乎是整班里面唯一的
就是亚洲人，是。
可是呢，他完全没有感觉到，
对，
就是在那个时候是没有什么任何的种族之分，
对，没错。
所以呢，他就是在加拿大完完全全是 it's a Western culture，
没错，
对不对？完全在西方的这个社会里面长大的。好，那他的背景是这样子，
是。
可是呢 ，there's a turning point.
Yeah.
Now he lives in Taiwan.
Why?
Yeah. So what brought you to Taiwan?
Well, I met my wife in Canada, and she's Taiwanese. She was there as an exchange student. So at the time, I was still working. But when we did meet, it was kind of a shocker to me too, because I never actually ever dated an Asian girl ever. She was the first one. Especially even my family, nobody's ever dated or married an Asian person. I was the first one. And the strange thing I didn't tell you guys is when we got married, we eloped. Do you know what that means?
Eloped.
We got married and didn't tell anybody.
Wow.
I was worried that my family wouldn't accept her because she was Asian. Isn't that strange? Because I'm Asian, right? Yeah. But in my family, nobody married Asian people.
Indeed, very
I was
strange.
the first one, so I was worried that they wouldn't accept her. When they found out that I was dating her, they kind of just thought like, "Oh, that's nice, but they're not gonna last long, right?" She was definitely worried about what her family would say because in Taiwan, I think she's from a very local countryside area, so they're quite traditional.
And you are a foreigner.
I was a foreigner, right? They didn't really like that, right? So we were kind of worried about that. So we didn't tell anybody. And it was actually her idea to get married. Oh my God.
And she convinced you.
We actually married after, I would say, 4.5 months of knowing each other.
Wow.
That's fast,
So
huh? That's
she
crazy.
convinced you to marry her. So you skipped the proposal procedure.
Yeah, we just went to the justice of the peace and we got married right away.
Wow.
Yeah. We didn't tell anybody for 5 years.
For 5 years. Okay, well let's. I think this is very
And so this
interesting
is the strange thing.
information.
When I came to Taiwan,
Yeah.
They just thought, oh, here's this foreigner. He's living in our house and he's only going to be here for a year. That's a little too long, right? But yeah, we didn't tell anybody. They just thought I was overstaying my stay in Taiwan too
Wow.
long because
Okay.
we're just boyfriend girlfriend, but we're actually married.
Oh, I see. So when you moved to Taiwan, obviously you and your wife at the time lived together on your own or in
her
her
parents'
house.
house.
So you moved into her parents' house for 5 years without them knowing
didn't
that
even
you guys
actually-
are actually going out.
She didn't even actually tell her parents that I was going to stay for a year. It was originally, she said, oh, he's only going to stay for 2 weeks.
And then you stayed on for
A year.
a year.
And then they kept asking my wife, when is he going home?
And okay, well, do you want to translate that?
我觉得太酷了，酷到爆裂。刚才呢，因为我们当然会有一些一个行前会的概念，他完全都没有跟我们讲。他说他其实麦克啊，他自己在因为
加拿大
对加拿大遇到了这个女孩嘛，就是他的老
台湾女孩
婆。对，当时他的女朋友，那他在那边呢，遇到了之后呢，后来他们在4个半月后就结婚了。
然后双方家长没人知道。
双方没有，不是双方家长，双方所有的人都没有人知道，全部人都不知道，而且不知道多久，5年呢，5年都没人知道。我跟你讲，我隐瞒我妈也才3年而已。
最厉害的是
是
，Mike 来台湾的时候是
是
搬进去女方家里住。
对，很厉害，而且本来对方一直以为才2个礼拜，哦，已经1年多这样子进去。
All right, Mike. Now my question is, you moved into her house for 1 year, and then you, of course, found yourself another place.
Yeah, the thing is, after a year, I don't know why I never went back. I think it's really because my wife wanted to stay in Taiwan, and obviously we were married, right? And I wanted to take her back to Canada, right? But for some reason, I just ended up staying, and I don't know why too. It's just kind of strange because I really had such big culture shock.
Yes.
And just even finding a job and stuff and assimilating with Taiwanese culture,
Yes.
it was really tough for me. I had it really tough. I think tougher than other foreigners. And it was really hard. I was always complaining and hated everything about Taiwan. I just didn't like it at all. I don't know why. To this day, I still don't know why I stayed. The only thing I can think of is because of my wife.
Because
that was the
of
only reason.
love.
Because of love,
Okay, so you moved here, and your upbringing was 100% Western, and there are a lot of things that shocked you in Taiwan. What are those things?
I would say food. It would say the way people think. The
Food,
one.
like, oh, what's this white fluffy stuff? It's called rice.
Yeah, just living in Taiwanese society, everything was different. Just the roads, the buildings, the way people. Well, obviously the language. Their culture. Everything was just didn't make sense to me. It's not that it was different. It didn't make sense to me. And the longer and longer I started living here, the more and more I started to hate it, actually. So I purposely found things that made me have some comfort living here. And one of them was working. I became a workaholic. I mean, there's 2 kinds of workaholics for me. There's people who love their job and people who do it so much because they just don't like anything. They just want to immerse themselves in work. And that was me, right? And there's only 2 things that really made me feel comfortable living here. It was the food and the culture. There were certain things about food. In the beginning, I wasn't even eating Taiwanese food. I was eating McDonald's and pizza, tea drinks every day. Every day. I was eating like mad. I was eating so much. I was actually gaining a lot of weight.
Right, because McDonald's is something that you were familiar with.
Yeah, that's right.
So it took you a while to actually try Taiwanese food?
It took me a while to get used to
Accept?
it and accept it.
Right. Wow, I would say Taiwanese cuisine is one of the best.
Yeah.
It is now.
It is now, and now you love it.
Sure, I love it. I actually don't even eat a lot of Western food now. Yeah.
Your wife converted you.
Taiwan converted me.
Wow.
Yeah.
the food.
You know, when I think about my wife, I think about Taiwan. Taiwan's the place that really is the place where I really changed. So I think now for me, when I think about, do I really want to go back to Canada? I say to myself, no, I don't want to go back. You know, when you go through some difficulties and you overcome challenges, I mean, that is the place where you feel like that's your home.
Yeah.
Because you changed.
Yes.
It's a turning point for you, right?
Okay, so you first came here, okay, encountered something undesirable, something that you need to get used to, and you matured and you adapted.
I was forced to change.
You're compelled to change.
I really was. It wasn't that I matured at all. I actually, to be honest with you, I wasn't very mature about anything. I mean, I just wanted to survive and have a job.
Wow,
you know, I was just working in cram schools, and I wasn't really enjoying anything. Honestly, I didn't really like it. But it was a point when one day I was so big, right? Something like 35 kg.
Wow,
right?
my God.
Because you immerse yourself in work and eating.
That's all.
Yes.
That's all I did. You know, and I just one day I just woke up and I couldn't see. I was blind, right? Completely blind, and so that was the
From
moment.
overeating.
Work, stress, overeating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, coming back to it, you felt obviously a lot of stress, you know, trying to survive in Taiwan.
Yes.
And you thought of going back to Canada, but your wife probably find Taiwan more of a home than Canada. So you stay here because of love, and you have to morph and evolve yourself so you can actually make things work in Taiwan. And you found a job that you actually enjoy, right?
Right. It took a while to get to this. You know, life is like a journey, right? It's not a destination. And you know, in your journey, there's always turns, uphill, downhill. You know, there's all different kinds of things. It's never just always straight.
Of course.
And there's always things that you encounter. But there's one thing that I realized is, in everybody's journey, it's all about timing. You really cannot transform yourself unless you are ready to change. Nobody can change you. You can only change yourself, and you can only change when you're ready to. At that moment when you feel like you are at a turning point, and that is when you will change, right? And for some of us, you know, like for me, I think for pretty much my whole life, I've always encountered really big challenges, difficulties, and that's what made me change. Like when I did my speech about my wake-up call, right? My wake-up call is when I went blind, you know, and really that was true, and that's why I did that speech when I competed with Anson Sat that year, right?
Right.
That was the moment that I changed, when I realized I went blind, and I wish I had another chance. And if I did, I would do my best to try to change something in my life. I knew I had to change something. If that never happened, I still think I would not be at this place where I am now.
Right.
So I'm very glad that I actually went through that. Yeah.
OK， 我们要整理一下那个整个那个时间轴跟故事 storyline，
没错
那
没错
个故事线。
对
OK，
没错没错
Mike Honda 呢，因为认识了现在的台湾太太，
对
所以
没错
来到台湾。
是
刚来的时候呢，有一点困难适应，
对，没错，
所以呢，
愤世嫉俗了。
所以呢，他就完完全全的把他时间花在吃东西跟
还有工作
作上，
没错
所以呢
没，错
那个不仅呢身体越来越庞大，
是
压力也越来越大。
对
所以呢，
对
有一天呢，他忽然醒来的时候，发现眼睛看不到了。
对，
所以那个就是他的
模糊了
turning point， 他觉得
对
Oh, I need to do something
Wake up
about my life。
cold，
所以他就开始跑步啊。
对
You did a lot of running, right? Just to lose weight.
Running was what changed me. If it wasn't for running, I definitely wouldn't be here. And I never expected to run. That's the thing. It's just one of those things in your journey where things come in front of you, and then, you know, there's always unexpected things or people that come into your life, and they become your hero. That's why I say everybody's got stories, you know.
Yes.
And in my life, in my journey here, right, running was one of my heroes. It ended up becoming something that really saved me, really, totally. My life, my health, my mental, my physical. It changed everything. The way I look at Taiwan is because of running.
Oh, wow. OK， 所以呢，一切的救赎从哪里来呢？
从那些
跑步。
没错没错。
他一开始来觉得有点难适应啊，
是
就是有些东西在台湾他看的好像跟之前不大一样。
对，都很看不顺眼。
对，跨流北宋。
对。
但是呢，从哪里开始改变呢？有一天他醒来，因为就眼睛看不到嘛，就是可能吃的太肥胖，压力太大了，所以呢，他开始跑步。 然后呢，他就因为开始跑步，就比较更深层的接触了台湾这块土地，然后他就爱上了台湾。
没错，而且我觉得Mike他讲很好的地方，其实他是在讲说，其实我们人生其实因为遇到了困难，其实你真的永远都不知道到底什么人会是你的那个应该说救世主的概念。但是总之进来的东西，因为他就觉得自己一定要改变，而他其实以前非常讨厌跑步，可是他却愿意为了这也改变。但是他跑下去之后，什么东西都跑开了，就是不管是心境啊，或是什么，一切都开了，所以他的人生从此大改变。
对，所以他面临的任何的困难，就这样慢慢的迎刃而解。
对，
所以呢，现在我要问他另外一个关于困难的问题了，就是呢，他们在什么样的状况之下跟双方父母说我们已经结婚5年了
？OK，
还是你帮我问好了？
你问。
Hey Mike, there's a question for you. Now we're talking about sorting out problems in our life. Okay, obviously you kept a secret for 5 years. Okay, about your marriage. So at what point you decided to break it to your parents and parents-in-law? I mean, it gotta be
because
a
after
problem.
the year expired, you know, and I was still living in their house. They kept asking, when is he going home? When is he going home? Is he homeless? Does he even have a house in Canada? Where is he from? Why isn't he going home? So finally we just kind of said, well, he's just going to stay a little longer. He's got this job. He can't leave, right? They just knew that I was just miserable all the time, right? And why was he staying here and stuff? After a few years, you know, my wife was ready to just tell them. I said, oh my God, if you tell them, I'm definitely going to be kicked out. And she said, don't worry about it. And she finally did tell them over dinner. And I didn't know that she did it because she's speaking Chinese I didn't understand. And they were all sitting together and she just said it just nonchalantly, just like nothing happened, right? And then when she did say, oh, I just told them now, I just stopped eating. I was almost choked. I said, oh my God, did they say I've got to leave? No, they said they're okay with it. I said, what happened? They just said, well, they kind of knew something wasn't right. We kind of felt like you guys were acting like married couple, right? And so when they found out that I was actually married to her, they said, well, you know, it's already done with. We actually do like him now, you know.
Right, okay.
And
so they knew something was fishy.
They knew, yeah, of course. You know, we were holding hands everywhere we went, you know, and we went everywhere together. We were living in the same room together. We just didn't have our own place, right?
Yeah.
But when they actually found out that we were married and everything was getting more stable and set up, right? I actually didn't like living with them. I was in a position where, you know, when Taiwanese people, then they get married, right? The wife doesn't want to live with mother-in-law. I think a lot of women have this problem. I had the opposite problem. I had to live in my wife's family's house, right? And I didn't like living with them because I felt like I had no privacy.
Exactly, yes.
They wanted to do everything for me. They felt like I was handicapped, like I couldn't do anything on my own, right? They were just always in my business, doing stuff for me, and it just drove me mad. So I think I did have a lot of arguments with them, and it just caused.
In what language?
They were saying it in Chinese. I was saying it in English, and my wife would be the mediator. You know, we had lots of cultural differences, and that was the thing.
It must be difficult for your wife.
Misunderstandings. I would make a salad at home. I would come home and try to eat it, but by the time I get home, the salad would become a stir fry. I would say, who did this? Oh, my wife thought you were really poor. You didn't have time to cook it. You don't know how to cook. So she cooked it for you. I said, this is a salad. You know, we had lots of cultural differences. Lots. Things like this, you know. It drove me mad.
So not only you have to adapt to Taiwanese culture, and the parents living with you, they have to adapt to you as well.
Yeah, even my neighbors had to adapt to me. You know, I went to I always went to the same places to get food. And I still remember going to the same tea shop for 2-3 years. That lady loves me, but she knows I never speak. I just can't look at them. I always just choose the same drink every time. So when I drive up, she already knows what I want. I just go like this, and she says this, and she just has my drink ready. I just leave, right?
Yeah.
And then one day, I took my wife there, and she was so glad to see my wife. She was talking to her and said, oh, your husband is such a nice guy. Oh, I see him all the time. He comes, and now he finally brings you and stuff. And she just said to my wife, oh, yeah, what school does he go to? And my wife said, school? He's not a student. And she said, no, she said, what school? She meant like a special, like a school for retards. She thought that for years, she thought that I couldn't speak because I was...
You were mute.
I was a mute person, like I couldn't speak, right? I was so embarrassed. I said, no, I'm a foreigner. It's not because I can't speak.
No, because you look like us.
Oh, it was crazy. I had lots of crazy stories.
That's funny. 就是那个
很可爱。
这个故事呢，就是发展到这个，就是有一天呢，他老婆就坐下来，
已经准备好了，
说啊，其实我们已经结婚了，
而且他还是好好的吃啊，但是因为他听不懂他老婆在讲什么，吃到一半，他老婆突然就说：“哦，我讲完了。”他要么尬那个 gay 掉，
然后非常 peaceful，
是
很和平的，
对，没错。
那当然，他Mike 住在老婆家里，就有一些的小插曲了，可能那个 culture 不太一样嘛，文化不同，可能他准备了个沙拉放在那边没有吃，那晚上回来就变那个炒青菜
了，没错。
然后去隔壁的早餐店买东西，对，很多年了，对，因为他都不会讲中文，
对，他就是因为每次去就是点那一点，所以已经有默契了，对。
所以呢，有一天他跟他老婆再去那个早餐店的时候，那个早餐店的老板就问他老婆，就是他现在是去哪一个特殊的学校？
对。没错，我觉得超好笑的，
需要是特别照顾的。
是，所以其实不管是 Mike 他来这边，当然也会有那个文化的冲击嘛。但是其实对于在这里的他的老婆的家人们，跟他的所有的邻居、街坊邻居们，其实他们都有很多的文化冲击。
对，而且我觉得比较困难，是因为 Mike 是华裔，所以他长得跟我们是一样，就是
没错，
就是那个亚洲脸孔嘛。
是。
如果是完全白人或是黑人，可能大家遇到就知道哦，你不会讲中文是就正常嘛，或者讲很破的中文哦，很卡哇伊没有关系，
没错。
可是大家会对他有 expectation， 可能有所期望，因为就看起来就跟我们一样，
是。
所以这个我想要请教他。Hey Mike，because you look like us. So do you think people in Taiwan would have higher expectation from you as opposed to say white foreigners?
I think for people outside, if they don't know me, they are confused.
They're confused.
Some people think that I'm maybe just speaking Chinese, English because I'm trying to show off.
Try to be posh.
Yeah, but some people, they're just confused. They don't know what to think. They think I'm from another planet. But I think people's perception of what a foreigner is. I think it's changing here. I've noticed since I've been here that people here are changing, right? And they're more open now, right? And I see Taiwanese people always. There's one thing that never changed since I've been here. Taiwanese people have always been really friendly.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, extremely friendly. And that's one thing I can say about Taiwan is really shines about people here is they're quite friendly. And I really noticed that even more when I started running, because when you run through different villages and mountain areas and stuff, you really see how friendly people are. I'm running and people will drive up to a store. I don't even know these people. They drive up to a store way up ahead. They buy a drink, they come back and give it to me, and people. Wow. I would never have that happen where I come.
Do you know why? Because they think you need special care.
They probably do. What are you doing? Why are you running through here? But I would say that's the friendliness that you get from people here. They're very open and very nice.
Absolutely.
They're willing to help a lot of people, and I think that's really good about Taiwanese people.
Yeah. So that's actually my next question. So you stayed on in Taiwan, and I was going to ask, what did you love about Taiwan? So people was one of it. Anything else?
You mean when I first came here?
Yeah, when you first, and now. Because now you fell in love with Taiwan.
All the stuff that I used to hate.
You love now.
I totally love. And it's not because I force myself. Like I say, it's about timing. That's one thing I realize is you can't force something on people. You just have to wait for them to have their own timing.
Okay, it kind of worked like stinky tofu for me.
Stinky tofu.
Yeah.
Durian. Just everything. Like everything I used to hate, I just completely love now. Red bean. I used to hate red bean.
Oh, really?
Who eats red bean, right?
Me.
Oh my God, everything I love.
So there is a turning point for everything.
Yes.
There is. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And now we'd like to talk about your, is it a nighttime job? It's not really a job because you're not getting paid for it, but your nighttime dedication. Because you run 2 Gavel clubs. So I'd just like to explain what Gavel Club is.
Gavel Club is basically a Toastmasters club. It's about bringing the Toastmasters experience to kids under the age of 18 years old. Wow. Right. And so right now, I think it's still in its infancy. It's still quite new. And I think, there's to have a gavel club, you really have to be really dedicated because it's a long-term thing. It's not something you can just do for 6 months and then it's over, right? You really have to be committed because, kids, it takes time to see their progress. But when you see their progress, you really want to do it more. And this is the one thing that I want to tell people. If any Toastmasters people are out there willing to do this, that's the only thing they see in the beginning is, wow, this is going to take a lot of work. It's going to take a lot of time, and I probably will just feel miserable because I'm around kids all the time. But when you start to see the progress that they make, you'll want to come back more and more because it's so rewarding.
So let me explain to the audience.
Yeah.
Mike 呢现在有 run 2个 Gavel Club。Gavel Club 是什么？像我们都有参加国际英文演讲协会，那个是给大人的。但是呢，如果小孩子如果想要学 public speaking 公众演说或者是英文怎么办呢？那就是 Gavel Club。那 Gavel Club 这个是一个很吃力不讨好的事，就是你要去组织一个 club， 让很多的小孩子在18岁以下，甚至有些更年轻来参加。
没错，
那你不只要 babysit 这些小孩，当那个保姆，然后呢又要教他们如何公众演说。那对小孩子来讲，上台讲话5分钟到7分钟，其实是有困难度的，
没错。
所以呢，如果要组织一个这种的 club， 是要非常非常的有耐心。
没错。
那 Mike 一定是看到这里面的价值，让他在几乎每一个礼拜的每一天晚上，都在做这个事情。
是。
So Mike, so what made you so dedicated to running the 2 Gavel Club? It's got to be something rewarding. What you see from the kids.
I never thought about just starting it because I wanted to. When I started doing pathways, this is like when I started to really think about what does it mean to be in Toastmasters, and why am I doing this pathways? Because pathways really changed the way I perceive what it means to be a Toastmaster. Before, in the traditional system, and it was great. I just only thought about doing speeches. But when I started doing pathways, it started to really make me realize, can I use this where I like work? And are they trying to make me use this where I outside of Toastmasters? It started to become like a lifestyle for me. And I realized pathways is not going to work if you don't work it in your career or your personal life. It's not just about doing speeches. You actually have to go out there and apply what you learn through pathways. This is when I started to realize, at the same time I was doing speech contests. I did it for 3 years, right? And that was about the time too when I started to feel like, I want to give back what I learned from 3 years of entering a speech contest and how far I got and stuff. And I really wanted to give it back to somebody. So I was searching everywhere to see how or who I can share this with. And I realized it was just right under my nose. Kids! And I realized, does Toastmasters actually have something for kids? And that's when I realized, they have something for kids. It's Youth Leadership Program and Gavel Club. And in Taiwan at that time, it was about 2 years ago, there wasn't really much anything. Nobody really knew anything, right? And so I kind of just started it by myself, learning as I go and talking to people back in head office and stuff. And I kind of just wet my feet and started going through it myself and learning as I go, right? But I'm glad I did it because I started to be able to share what I learned, not just in Toastmasters, but coaching kids, right?
I see.
I saw so much of myself in those kids. When I was doing the speech contest for 3 years, I didn't see a lot of the mistakes I made. When I had a coach for 3 years. His name is Josh Myers. He's my best friend. Wow. And I can tell you, I put him through misery, right? We had lots of fights. And I realized, when I was being coached, there was a lot of stuff I didn't see about myself. But when I started coaching the kids and they do speeches, I start laughing sometimes really out loud when they're doing speeches and they think I'm making fun of them. But I said, no, I'm not making fun of you. It's just because when they make the same mistakes I made, I see myself in them. And I realize how I was. And I realized how it was making me a better coach. I start to understand the kids better. And I start to understand how I need to coach them. And it's not just about making the kids better, but you also become a better person, a better coach, a better Toastmaster. So that's why I realized, when you do pathways, it's not just about benefiting one party.
Oh, yes.
It benefits both parties.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
so
and-
you gain the most when you give.
Oh my God, I'm learning so much from these kids. When people say you can't learn anything from kids, that's absolutely not true. They teach me so much about myself and who I am and how I need to make myself better. And that means that as a coach, you have to show that you make mistakes. A lot of these kids, when they come in here, they're afraid to express themselves because they're always told they need to be perfect or they're not allowed to express themselves. But when they come here, they trip, fall all the time when they talk. They're afraid to open up because they don't know how to express themselves. So this is where Toastmasters leadership and communication, public speaking all come into play. And they see, oh, Mr. Hunt is making mistakes all the time, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
So they start doing it too, and they start to feel comfortable. And when kids start supporting each other, that's where you start to see, this is something, there's something here. And then when you have other kids coaching other kids, because this is what's happening now in my club, kids coach other kids.
Making leaders.
That's when I realized this is really powerful. It's not just, it's changing lives. This is powerful stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like you don't do this for money. You do this for the well-being of other people.
Right.
I used to think about always, how can Toastmasters make me a successful person? How can I make more money? How can I be more successful, right? Then when I realized, when I started coaching, it's okay to be successful. Everybody wants to be successful. I want you to be successful. But if you don't have any significance in your life, your life is meaningless.
Yes.
And I realized significance is totally different from being successful.
That's right.
Significance is when you make an impact in other people's
You
lives.
make a difference.
I realized that is the key thing that we all need in our life to keep us going,
Right.
And that is a legacy that you leave behind for others.
Right. Well, incredible stuff.
I learned that from doing Toastmasters,
Wow.
from Pathways.
Katrina 交给你整理一下这个故事了。
哇，这个故事非常的重要。我们就应该说，他到底就是为什么？像你刚才问的嘛，为什么那个 Mike 呢？他会花这么多时间？那到底是得到了什么东西呢？
花这么多时间呢，
对
在带领一群小
孩子
教导他
他
们如何公众
演
演说。
对，到底他得到了什么？他为什么会付出这么多时间？其实他其实就是从这些孩子上面看到了很多东西，再加上他刚才讲到非常重要，就是他发现其实教这些孩子，他自己也成长了好多，就是他可以从他们身上看到自己曾经犯的好多的错误，常常就是这些孩子在教他变成更好的人，他也让这些孩子变成就是更好的人之外呢，其实也发现这些孩子的成长不是只有在工作演说上，还有包括这是 Toastmasters 的宗旨，就是变成了一个领导人，对，很重要哎。
对啊 So what type of student or kids will come to your Gavel Club?
Crazy, right? Why would they want to come to us? Like
That's
a
right.
public speaking
Why
thing,
wouldn't
right?
they just stay home and play Switch?
Right. The thing is, we have lots of after-school programs at my school, Wager, right?
Yes.
And, we have lots of different activities. We have STEAM, we have violin, all the interesting stuff, soccers too, right?
yes.
And when I first started, we only had about 8 kids, once a week. And then it just snowballed. I've been doing this at Wager now for almost 2 years now. And now I have over 50 kids.
Wow. 所以他一开始呢，
只有8个。
只有8个
That's
小孩
Gavel Club alone. I have another one that's youth leadership. That's separate, right?
Yes.
So it's just become so big. All these kids, in the beginning, I used to ask the kids, "Why are you coming here?" I don't know. It's just because I like you. That's it. But now it's like, why do you come here? Oh, because I want to learn how to speak better, right?
Wow.
And
it's
you know
coming
what?
from a kid. That's
It's
incredible.
not the talented kids that always used to come. I used to get a lot of kids who were troubled. They had a lot of family problems or something, right? They didn't get along with other kids. I used to have kids who just never got along with anybody, who just felt like they didn't have any confidence in themselves. And this is when I realized, what I'm doing with the kids is I realized it's really important, because it's not just about teaching kids in class. It's about you're making an impact in the kid's life. I had one kid that had such a terrible temper. Every time he lost, he would just go into a fit of rage, throw chairs. He had to go to the doctor because he had this temper problem. And then one time I sat down with him. I remember that he's now the president of one of our gavel clubs.
Wow.
He's now one of the ones that coaches the other kids.
And he controls with fear.
No, the turning
fist.
point for him when I realized too, that was a breakthrough for me too, was when one day I really sat down with him and I said, you know what? You have to know how to lose in order to know how to win.
Wow.
That's a champion.
Very wise.
I actually wrote it down for him. I thought, oh, you just throw it away later, right? And then I realized a few weeks later, when I was walking by, he had this moment where he almost got upset. The kids came and told me he's going to blow up, right? So I walked by. He was in the hallway. And he was sitting there. I just saw him because I was going to go talk to him, but I stopped. I saw him open up his pencil case. And there was that little note I wrote for him. He was sitting there reading it. I just watched him.
To remind himself.
Oh my God. And then he read it for like 15 seconds and he folded it up really neatly, like it was like money, you know? And he closed it and put it back in his pencil case. And then at that moment, I didn't talk to him, but at that moment I realized I have the power to change kids.
Wow.
But you know, the thing is, it's either good or bad. But I realized, you know, this is really powerful, right? And I have to keep going because there's other kids that are like him that need help, right?
Wow.
And I realized I want to help them. It's not about money or being successful. It had nothing to do with that. And then that was one of the moments when I realized I have to be more significant with what I do, right? And I had lots of kids like him that I can share stories with. It's really, really touching stuff, right? Yeah.
Because learning to speak publicly, you have to master so many different skills.
Oh, yeah.
Controlling temper is one, right? Having a good set of logic, communication, maybe a slight touch of humor. There's a lot of skill that goes on in giving a good public speech. And you teach those.
You'll see when there's speech contests in Taiwan all around schools. This is the thing with adults as well. And this is the thing I had problem with too. You'd think it would be easy when you go to a speech contest. It's easy to share. But as soon as kids go up on stage, they don't want to be themselves. They cover themselves and they perform.
Yes.
They become actors, right? And they're really good at performing, you know? And I say, why does your speech sound so like you're acting on stage? Would you talk to your friend like this? And they would say, no, they'll think I'm weird. Then why do you talk to me like that? Oh, but I'm doing a speech contest. I don't want that. I want you to come up on stage and talk to me like you're talking to your best friend at a tea shop saying, hey, you know what happened, guys? Hey, this is what happened. I want to feel that excitement. I want to feel like you're talking to me, your best friend. Not like you don't talk to me like this. It's so robotic, you know, everything
and
you
contrived.
do. And you'll see that a lot of kids, they cover themselves because they don't want kids to see, other people to see themselves. And I actually had one kid tell me that I'm afraid. And I said, what are you afraid of? And he said, I'm afraid of showing myself, right? I said, but that's exactly what we want to see.
Yeah.
Right? But that was it. And he said, that's my greatest fear. I was like, wow.
Showing
right?
themselves.
But I said, do it, try it. And you know, this is the thing. This is now where some of my kids are starting to really come up on stage and just be themselves. That's the greatest kind of speaker, is when you can go on stage and just show yourself. Be who you are and show your authenticity, right? Yeah. Not a performance, right? And I realized that I had this problem too. And I didn't actually start to see that until I started to see my kids have the same problem. That's exactly why I knew how to help them solve this problem, right? And I think if you want to be a better speaker, you should also coach somebody, because you will see some elements of yourself in those people, and you will also know how to help them, and you'll see how to help yourself as well.
Okay. Right? So kids coming to your club, they gain self-confidence, and they of course increase their EQ, knowing how to control temper and embrace failure.
Yeah, confidence and stuff. Yeah.
And then boost confidence.
Yeah,
and I think all these are important lessons even for adults.
It's pretty much on the same parallel.
You are teaching them life lessons, and they are exposed to these important lessons at such a young age.
Yeah.
I really envy them, because you know, I'm learning stuff that they're learning at their age, and when I see them, my only regret is I wish I started this or somebody showed me this when I was younger, right? But I never had that chance. I never even knew what that was, right?
Oh yeah, of course. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I never knew what public speaking is, let alone going to a public speaking club.
Yeah.
But there are, of course, a lot of benefits.
The hardest thing is to make them, make kids, even adults, right, speak in front of strangers.
Oh, yes.
Speak from the heart, right? Be authentic, like you said, right? It's a really hard thing for them to do, to just be themselves, right? It's because, I think when you're a kid as well, though, it's easier to overcome that. But when you get to
when you know
like
no
our
shame.
age,
Yeah.
it's already set,
Yes.
and it's really hard to get away from that and be authentic. Yeah.
Right. So a good speech is someone who can give an authentic, expression of their true self.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Even kids will give you the best evaluations too. This is where I always say, I've always met people, I won't mention, but I've always had a lot of people around me. Not just that, I'm not just talking about school, just people outside, people who they're very well educated. They come to me and tell me that you shouldn't do this kind of stuff with kids.
You shouldn't.
Told me directly, straight out, do not do this with kids. They are not professionals. They will break things, or they will make it worse, right? And I've had people come and tell me and complain to me and say, you are not a professional yourself. You shouldn't be doing this, right?
And
But
who is qualified to do this?
they are. But this is the thing I always tell people is, we have so many professionals in this world, right?
Yes.
Yet look at the world today. People who are supposedly professionals, who supposedly lead countries, and they're all fighting. They don't know how to talk to each other anymore.
Yeah.
They're always bickering and fighting, calling each other names. They just cannot communicate with each other anymore. And I explain this to kids. I explain this to people who might have concerns, that you don't want the younger generation to become like us. Start early. Show them how to communicate, express their feelings, right? Otherwise, when they grow up, they're going to be worse than us because they see how we behave. But then when we show the other side, they see the possibility of what they can be, right? We need to show that side so that they will make the choice. We don't make the choice for them, but we offer it to them and say, see, it's possible for you to change. You can change, but it's your choice, right? We don't, in Toastmasters, in Gavel Club, we never ever push people. We just give them a choice. We show them what's there. We show them the opportunity, and we allow them to make the choice. None of the kids that come to my Gavel Club are pushed. None of the parents ever push them. They come on their own, by their own choice.
Not under any duress.
No, none at all. None at all.
Wow. So they voluntarily go to an after-school program to learn public speaking.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
There must be a lot of good stuff they get from the club.
Yeah, and some kids even now, like now, I'm there till 7:30 every night because kids, now we have speech contests. Every single night, kids want coaching after the club.
Wow.
lesson, so this is all stuff like you either do or you don't. It's not about being a teacher. It's just because a student, a kid wants your help. You have to decide, is he willing to commit? I commit my time. Is he willing to have a breakthrough? I don't care about whether kids become top 3 or champions. I always tell them it's about having breakthroughs.
Yes.
You have to have a breakthrough. And that is the feeling of a true champion. When you make a breakthrough for yourself and you really learn something, and next time you're better because of that, you'll have another breakthrough. That is what it means to be a real champion.
Constantly becoming a better version of yourself.
Yeah, when you're first place, people will forget that 2 years from now.
Yeah.
But when you have these kind of breakthroughs, people will remember where you started and where he came from, how he started, and you will feel so much better about yourself because it's like it's personal development.
Yes.
Yes, totally.
And that is what keeps kids going, because of the personal development.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it takes time to develop.
It does.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. It does.
Wow. And just to sum up, because we're coming to the end of the program, for kids to or even adults to learn public speaking, I mean, lots of people would look at public speaking and think, oh, do I really need that? Or I always get stage fright. I mean, something that I try to stay away from. So what are the essential reasons that you think public speaking is vitally important, that everyone should actually attempt in their life?
Well, I'm pretty one-sided. I would say that if you really want to do public speaking and you want to know how it can change your life, join Toastmasters. Whether you're in my school, Wager, or another school, you're in Gavel Club or in a Toastmasters club, learn public speaking through Toastmasters because they have a system. And people just think it's just a system where you just do speeches. It's not. Whoever created that really knew what they were doing. And it's now just catching on to people who are actually doing pathways. That it's not just about speaking in front of people. When you speak in front of people, you're not just giving a speech. You have a message to share with people. And that message can impact other people's lives. But at the same time, you are learning to change your lifestyle, your career, your personal life through the pathway system that they have, right? If you apply it. And if you don't apply it, then nothing will happen. But I think for most people who stay in it for a while, they start to see that there's something here, right? There's some change that I can make, right? And I can use this. And then it starts really impacting their life. That's why I say in anything, even public speaking, it's all about timing. You know, I know people who've been doing public speaking for 12 years, right? And they're not even having any breakthroughs until just now.
Wow.
Some people have been doing it for 2 years and now they're having lots of breakthroughs.
Yeah.
So it's not about how come he's having it and he's not. It's just all about timing. Like you say, you know, stay consistent, keep going at it. Don't just go into public speaking because you want to be a better public speaker, but do it because you want to transform your life. And I don't mean changing your life. I don't feel that there's anything wrong with people.
Yes.
But I think that we all can transform, be a better version of ourselves. Yes. And that honestly is what public speaking is about.
Right.
Right.
That's the exact answer I was hoping for. Transform yourself.
Yes. 哇，很棒哎！就 Mike 今天真的带来给我们很多的东西。那最后呢，就是要呼吁所有的听众朋友呢，基本上你想要 transform yourself， 应该就说转换，对，转换可能让你自己的那个不管是事业还是各方面变成一个更好的状态。真的很欢迎大家参加 Toastmasters，
就是国际演讲协会。
没错，你可以不要去英文的也没有关系，你也可以去中文啊、台语啊、日文也都有，全台湾，大家只要上国际演讲协会，大家上去找呢，让自己有一个更好的人生。哦，好像不知道到底是怎么样的节目呢？
那也非常感谢 Mike Honda 来到我们当中，带来那么多非常精彩的内容。
Yeah, thank you for your coming.
No problem. You know, life is about sharing. Let's all go do it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you. 那下周同一时间呢，也就是欢迎各位。突然结巴呢，
那讲英文好了。
欢迎所有的听众朋友呢，继续收听我们高雄广播电台94.3的卡卡派。